Good morning, everybody. While regretting very much for not being able to be with you today in Moscow, I feel more than honored for the invitation to take part in this important event. I would like to thank to Professor Stanislav Savin, Rector, to Professor Elena Zubkova, Vice Rector, and also to Professor Stanislav Pirogov for the spiritus movens behind the Mirbis Business Humanization Institute and this event for their invitation. The topic of my presentation is Corporate Social Responsibility, New Challenges for Management Education. So I would like to share with you some thoughts on these new challenges and also how business schools could respond to the challenges, while also suggesting what we might do together. One of the big questions that has been debated for quite some time and will be debated also in the future is whether corporate social responsibility and related topics should be taught in business schools as stand-alone courses or integrated into other courses. My answer to this question is simply yes. Why? We need both. We need them as standalone courses as well as integrated across and within other courses. It is the same like we have with mathematics. At technical universities, schools, engineering and so on, we have mathematics as a standalone course, but it is also integrated and very intimately integrated in all other courses. Why is that so? Because mathematics offers abstracts, constructs, relations, conceptualizations and so on. But at the same time, mathematics offers formula, tools, frames that could be applied also in other fields. So in this respect, I do believe that business ethics, corporate social responsibility and sustainable development are the mathematics, or if you wish also the philosophy of the management education that should respond to the needs of today. We see that the global crisis is deepening, and one of the results is that the trust in business as a possible positive agent of economic transformation and social change is diminishing. On the other hand, there is a growing awareness that competitiveness and sustainability are only two sides of the same coin. Simon Global Survey on business schools' responses to global crisis has shown that business schools perceive this global crisis not only as financial, as it looked like in the beginning, but also much deeper, as economic, as social, and above all as ethical and moral. But in the same survey, we asked business school what they feel, what is the share of their responsibility for the crisis. And here they are much more reluctant to accept it. What they say is that participants come to schools already with formed attitudes and values, and business schools cannot change this. But I think this is not really true, because when you look at the marketing messages that business schools send out, they emphasize that in addition to knowledge and attitudes, they very much develop skills and values and attitudes. So I would say there is some sort of hypocrisy there. There was another survey that we did in Simon, and that was assessing management training needs at the achieved level of transition. This survey showed us that corporations have difficulties in articulating what their management education and training needs are, particularly during the times of turbulence and change. Now, this has two serious implications for business schools. One is educational challenge. The challenge is do they really need what they want? We ask ourselves, is this a real need in the corporate world? But another challenge, equally important, is business challenge, because business schools are businesses and institutions in their own right. And then the question sounds the following: do they want what they need? In other words, are they willing to pay for what we have developed? And this brings us, I would say, to the very central question of this debate, and that is the business of business education, and how the business of business education can respond to the challenges that we are discussing today. From the business perspective, I believe that business schools' mission statement should integrate the notion of responsible leadership. That is absolutely necessary. But in order to be able to deliver on this, business schools need to change a lot. They need to innovate. And we all know then that when it comes to innovation, that it involves risks, but business schools are very risk averse. They don't like to accept these risks. On the other hand, in the globalizing and increasingly more competitive business education industry, we also know that the only risk related to innovation is in fact not to innovate, not to change. From the educational perspective, I think we need a lot of innovation in all aspects of education process. We need innovations in content, in process, in actors that are involved, but also in institutional and organizational arrangements. The important thing here is that innovation in only one aspect will fail without support of adequate innovations in all other aspects. Why? Because new content requires new processes, and these two together require new actors, participants, faculty, and so on, and all this necessitates an adequate and innovative institutional arrangement and organization. What are kind of changes we need when it comes to educational programs? We need programs to go beyond the disciplines, to break the walls between individual disciplines. We also need new managerial disciplines, as well as quite a few non-managerial disciplines like sociology, psychology, philosophy, history, and so on. In addition, we can learn a lot from other fields like arts or culture in general, science, sports for that matter, and so on. When it comes to educational processes, it is clear that there is a need for shift from teaching to learning. That also includes much more horizontal learning instead of only vertical learning. Why? Because this is something that is required by attitude and value development. New participants we have, new students, they come with higher aspirations, they come with new expectations. They are much more sensitive to the issues of corporate social responsibility, business ethics, and sustainable development than previous generations. But they also bring their readiness to take ownership over the educational process. And perhaps even more importantly, they are willing to change the psychological contract with business school. They will not come only for one course or for one program. They would like to stay in touch and apply what we call lifelong learning. Now, this requires also new generation of management teachers with a different role. Instead of only teaching, they have to do much more coaching, facilitation, mentoring, and so on. Of course, that requires also new skills, and that is a challenge, because this requires new teaching philosophy, strategy, and so on. Organizationally, in order to implement this corporate social responsibility integrated into teaching and so on, we need a permanent dialogue internally and externally. This dialogue and collaboration should go across disciplines. So the dialogue should be interdisciplinary, interdepartmental, interinstitutional, and also international. It should go also beyond the traditional stakeholders and include new ones. And I think the climate for this is favorable. During the second Global Forum for Responsible Management Education, there were two associated events in New York. One was ministerial meeting at the United Nations under the auspices of Secretary General of United Nations, and the other one was Global Leaders Summit. All three events resulted in declarations or statements which have so many things in common when it comes to integrating corporate social responsibility into business practices and business education as well. Very recently, about a month ago, the European Commission issued the new European policy on CSR, and among 8 items on the action agenda, one specifically refers to further integration of CSR into education, learning and research, and it also envisages support and funding for this activity. So now let me tell you something about international associations, what they can do, including CIMAN, a global association of 200 members from 50 countries. One of the things that we do is faculty development. International Management Teachers Academy is a program for a new generation of management teachers for the new generation of business leaders. And in the next year, this program, which is otherwise heavily focused on social responsibility of faculty, will have a new track, and this track will be how to teach business ethics, corporate social responsibility and sustainable development. CIMAN has launched CIMAN Champion Award to promote and reward outstanding achievement in the areas critical for the success in management education: research, teaching, and institutional management. And this year, in 2011, for the first time, we had Champion Award also for responsible management education. CIMAN was the first international association that incorporated principles of responsible management education into its accreditation scheme. And of course, CIMAN was the first major international association that invited its members to massively join the PRIME initiative when it was launched in 2007. Today, CIMAN is actively involved also as a member of the steering committee of this initiative. In addition, CIMAN leads a PRIME working group on poverty as a challenge to management education. In addition to 2 surveys that we already presented in 2 previous global forums, now the 3rd survey is taking place, and it will be presented as 2 deliverables in the 3rd global forum in Rio de Janeiro and in Brazil, and that will be a report on fighting poverty through management education, challenges, opportunities and solutions, and the other one will be a collection of best practices and inspirational solutions to be used in teaching on poverty. I started my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, with a mention of mathematics. Let me finish now mentioning or making parallel with philosophy. There is philosophy in everything that we do. In management education and in business in general, out of 5 branches of philosophy, which are logics, aesthetics, ethics, organization of state, and metaphysics, we seem to focus only on 2. Those that deal with technical and structural aspects of businesses and business education. We forget about aesthetics, we forget about ethics, and we don't mention metaphysics. The central question of which is the purpose, the question why. One said that the purpose of life is to have a life of purpose. I can apply easily that also for a great conference. What is the purpose of a great event? the purpose of a great event is to be an event with purpose. And I do believe that this conference in Moscow is such an event, and I am thankful very much for inviting me to be part of this great conference. Thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to receiving outcomes of this important event. Greetings from Bled.